I'd like to introduce David from the United States, who takes LDN for multiple sclerosis. Thank you for joining me, David.
It's nice to speak to you.
Could you tell me how old you were when you first started to notice MS symptoms?
I was first hospitalized and noticed my MS symptoms when I was 19 years old.
What symptoms were you experiencing at that time?
At that time, I had tingliness in my limbs, and the biggest problem is I couldn't walk straight. I had loss of balance, and I couldn't walk a straight line. So.
Mm-hmm. And how did that impact on you, on your life?
Well, it has made me, once I started researching about MS, at that point they told me then, this is in the mid-'80s, early 80s, they didn't know that much then about it, and except, the prognosis and outlook long-term wasn't good. So I prepared my lifestyle for that, to set up goals to try to achieve, in knowing that I am going to worsen. This is a degenerative disease. It only does get worse. So I worked things that way, dealt with, a lot of ups and downs for my first 20 years with it. I worked for 20 years, actually, with it. I have been to a lot of places. I've traveled the world many times. I've lived in Asia for 3-4 years. I lived in Central America. I've been all over the United States of America with my MS. So it hasn't stopped me from doing what I wanted to do,
mm-hmm.
but it had been a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, 10 years ago now, in 2005, I had to go on long-term disability because the disease became very progressive. And I was starting to get a lot more worsening of a lot of the symptoms. My peristalsis and my intestines was starting to kind of shut down, not work right. My bladder control I was losing. I was getting double vision. Things were kind of going bad. Not, they diagnosed me then as secondary progressive at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived with that, when I went from 2005 on disability, 2009, then I moved up near my family here because I am a single parent of a daughter. And so I moved near my family here. You spoke to my sister Kelly in case things weren't looking good for me. I wasn't seeing, the days ahead looking very good at this time. So I came here to bring my daughter so my family can help out in case something happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I've been over here in Michigan now for 5 years. Actually, it's been about 3 years now. The doctors, there's nothing they can do for me no more. I've pretty much done every single MS drug that's out there and available they've had me on. And like I said, in beginning of 2012, the only thing the doctors gave me, there was 2 cards they gave me. One card was to go talk to an end-of-life therapist, and the other one was for the nurse to give me any pain-killing drugs that I wanted. That's the point I was at.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, my temperature was going down. I could barely walk anymore going on now. I had to crawl to get anywhere. I had very severe fatigue, dizziness. My head was in the clouds all the time. Like I said, every time it felt like I was going to sleep, I was melting away. And things were not looking very good at that time. And somehow, I've already gone over 20 years with the disease living, and I wasn't about to give up. So I started looking around, and, I started looking actually at a lot of foreign websites, UK sites, even Australian sites. I go over there a lot, Austria, a lot of these countries over there, they seem to do more research in the area of MS than America does. Or at least they put the information out more. If America is doing the same thing or not, I don't know, but they put the information out there. That's how I came across the LDN, was through a website from a professor in, what's that over there by Australia, that island off over there?
New Zealand?
Pardon me?
New Zealand?
New Zealand, that's right. She's a professor in New Zealand. And she has this book that she put out. It's called Naltrexone. You'll never hear about it, and you'll never be offered it. And that's exactly true. These doctors were willing in 2012 to let me go on my own and just die away instead of giving me something that can help me. To them, they even scoff today that this does anything and save my life.
I found out about that book is
Pardon me?
I think that book is by my friend Chris Kerr, and she's Australia.
Is she Australian?
Yeah, she's Australian.
I know it's a professor. It's like 200 and something pages or something, and I came across it, and it has a lot of stories inside there, and a lot of similar ones to mine, and I'm like, wow, and I heard it was doing for these people, and I'm just like, wow, I got to try this. So I got a hold of a doctor. I have a very good doctor here that works with me. He understands my predicament, and he knows the other doctors won't do much for me, that they don't think there is much they can do. So he works with me on how my feelings are and what I think. You know, I've been working with this now for over 30 years now, so I know more than a lot of my doctors do. So, you know, I'll go to him, and if I can bring, I brought a lot of information from the web to him about what this LDN and what it does and all that stuff, and he read over it, went over with it, and he prescribed it for me. Now, I had to determine, and I worked with him on my dosage level, because from my research and reading, it's anywhere from 1.5 to 4.5 milligrams, low dose for me, of this naltrexone drug to take. So, I worked on that myself a little bit, and I found my number that's been working great for me. I started taking the drug in July of 2012 was the first night I took it then, finally. Came in that week, I took it in 2012, July. And I'll tell you what, the next day I got up, my life was different. As a matter of fact, I got up, walked out of bed, and walked right to the bathroom, went to the bathroom, and I haven't did that in 1 year. And I just got up and started doing it. I can get around. I still have tough days. I still need a cane. I had a lot of damage over 30 years, of course, My only thing that I get at this point now, I wish I would have been on this drug a lot longer. I mean, long time ago. Because I do believe it has stopped the progression of my MS, and now my body is able to start healing itself. And everybody around me, when I go to my doctors, the nurses, they all freak out. They can't even believe, like I said, they used to have to wheel me around in wheelchairs and pick me up and carry me, and now they see me, I walk into my own, and they all freak out. The doctors don't say much, but they listen. They listen to everything I say. They take a lot of notes, and they're listening. Like you said earlier with the doctors, you mentioned that going on, and I've noticed the doctors that I go to, unfortunately, it's the MDs. The neurologists, the higher ones, won't listen to me. But all the MDs are listening to me and what I'm saying about this drug and what's going on. They take tests on me. They check my levels out to make sure everything's okay. I have no problems. As far as side effects with this drug, as far as I'm concerned, zero. The stories I read, the only complaints I ever hear people talk about is they say it's tough for them to sleep the first couple weeks. My response to that is, well, because I think this drug is reactivating our brains and getting things working again. That's probably why they can't sleep. And second of all, any new drug you start taking, you have a problem sleeping with it. It disturbs that. So that, to me, is not a side effect. But besides that, I don't take it. I was on 9 different prescription medicines before I started taking this. Now I'm on none. I just take my LDN. That's it. That's all I have to take. It's LDN. I need nothing else. I, manage everything else through dieting and foods that I eat and stuff like that. But that's all I need is my LDN drug. I need nothing else. It's like I said, for me, it has been truly a miracle. I have started my own even website coming over here. I'm going to try getting online because I have a flyer I put out. I made my own 2-page flyer on LDN with all this information, them websites, where you're talking about that lady's book. I could probably pull it up and find it on there. But it gives that information on there so people can go to. It's kind of an information flyer I hand out to people. And actually, I've had people from the tri-state area where I live in, from Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, all calling me up asking me for this information with all kind of autoimmune diseases. They're all, because their doctors, such as me, are like sorry, there's nothing more we can do for you, but they don't want to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And they hear about this going on. Even my friends, when I go back to my older states, they see me, they can't believe I'm not dead yet. They're like, what are you doing? And I just tell them, it's one little pill. I said, that's it. And they've seen me the best they've seen me in a long time. And, everybody's like, what are you doing? Everybody that sees me, I'm a walking, living testament to everybody that's known me the last 10, 15 years. They can't believe it when they see me. They're just like, what happened to you? How are you doing this? And like I said, I'm a single parent living on my own, raising a teenage daughter. And if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't even be here today. This LDN drug. It is a total miracle drug. I talk about it up to everybody. And, I'm very, I read a lot of research. Dr. Bahari in New York is a doctor that started a lot of this research on this drug, and in the 80s. And, I have a lot of his research information and all that stuff that, I try to read, not just listen to me, but listen to doctors.
Yeah.
Right, listen to what the medical community, the ones, there's different kind of doctors out there. I ain't going to get into that now, but the true honest ones that really are out to help us, listen to them. It's amazing. Like I said, I can't believe it. Then I find out that my sister's on it. 6 months after that, her doctor puts her on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh, wow, okay. That's something interesting because of rheumatoid arthritis, an autoimmune disease. And it ends up wouldn't you know it, my daughter's boyfriend's mother has sclerosis or something like that. But I've given this information to her, and she's researching and looking into it. Also for her, going on to see if it can help her. Mm-hmm. And so she's going to them websites and all that stuff I have on there and, trying to look up to see if anybody else has done it or used it for that and if it's helped or not. So, but I believe this drug has a lot of potentials. The theory behind it, if you get into it and read into that, I believe holds a lot of weight. And it's something I think any person that has multiple sclerosis is, as far as I can say at least, because I have that, I think any person that is diagnosed with multiple sclerosis should immediately be put on this drug. I think it should be done immediately, is my opinion. I wish I just was 10 years ago. I wouldn't have been on disability. I think I would have still been working and been okay and stopped at that point. This drug don't cure my disease, but it has stopped my progression. And that's the first important step to take.
Exactly. With any progressive disease, if you can halt the progression,
any degenerative
you're on a
disease,
winner.
that's right. You got to stop the progression. And I think that's what this LD. It don't cure it. It stops the progression, though, which is a major accomplishment. Mm-hmm. Because, like I said, once I've done that, I can tell my own body has been healing itself. I lost my taste and smell's been gone for years. I got my taste and smell back, all came to me. I have so much stuff that's coming back to me, it's unbelievable. It's like I'm going backwards, so all my steps in my progression, I'm going backwards now. I'm taking all these steps backwards into getting better. I feel some of them things from before, but I think it's good. Like I said, when I feel nerve twitchings and going on, to me they're working now. Mm-hmm. Where before, 75% of my body I couldn't even feel or use before taking this drug. And now I can, first time in actually 10 years, I can feel the bottom of my feet. They still tingle a little bit and all that, but like I said, I never felt nothing for 10 years on them.
That's amazing.
Now I can feel it, And yes, it is. It's totally amazing. My temperature is stable, which is an amazing thing. And, but it's a drug I really, gung-ho on. Like I said, it saved my life.
Well, thank you very much.
Literally saved my life.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful, inspirational story with us, David. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, and if any time, any other information or conversation or anything like that you would like, feel free to call me.
Thank you.
Like, I told my sister with giving you, I tell everybody I give my number out, my email address. It's just anybody wants to talk about this. I keep logs. I kept a log on this going on, what it's done for me, how I've gone through the process of picking out my, right number to find out what it is, you know, of LDN that I need, you know, that works for me and what other people need to do. And, you know, I even try to educate the doctors on it, you know,